The Salem City Council will meet remotely on Thursday, January 27th, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. to hold its regular meeting for the purpose of discussing any and all business via remote participation in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the city's website at www.salem.com. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch, listen, or provide comment, if applicable, during the meeting may do so in the following manner. Please click on the link found in the agenda, password 902880. Go to the website link, https://zoom.us/join. Enter meeting webinar ID 812-4379-5227, followed by the password above if directed to do so. Participants can dial a toll-free number at 877-853-5257 or 888-475-4499. When prompted, enter meeting webinar ID 812-4379-5227. Follow the instructions to join the meeting. For those dialing in, you may press 9 to raise your hand to speak if signed up for public testimony or to participate in the public hearing portion of the agenda. Watch the meeting live on SATV on channel 22. Members of the public wishing to speak on the agenda items must follow the how to sign up for public testimony outlined on the agenda below. Members of the public wishing to speak during the hearings during the parts of the agenda designated as public hearings may do so by following how to participate noted above. A regular meeting of the City Council was held remotely via Zoom on Thursday, January 27th, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on January 25th, 2022 at 8:50 a.m. This meeting is being recorded and is live on SATV. Councilors absent, none. Council President Morcillo presided. Councilor Riccardi moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. And Council President Morcillo requested that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Hapworth.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Liberty,
under God, with justice for all. Thank you. Public testimony. Tonight we have 2 members of the public who will be speaking. The first is Aaron Britt.
Aaron, I'm going to allow you to talk. Could you please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Aaron Britt, I'm at 32 Cedar Crest Avenue in Salem. So I understand there's a proposal around a stop sign at Cedar Crest Avenue and Cedar Crest Road. And I just wanted to voice my desire for this for this stop sign. It is a very, very dangerous cross section at Cedar Crest Avenue and Cedar Crest Road. I think probably on a monthly basis at least. There is circumstances where I am careening towards a car that's coming right at me, and I just wanted to note my support for that stop sign. So not sure if there's any questions. This is my first rodeo with this, but just wanted to throw my voice out there and make sure that that I'm thumbs upping support for that stop sign.
Thank you very much, Ms. Britt. Thanks for making testimony tonight.
Thank you.
The next person is Krzyzewska Souza.
Krzyzewska, I'm going to allow you to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, yes. My name is Krzyzewska Swazo, and I'm a resident at 40 Cedar Crest Ave in Salem. And I also want to voice my agreeance to this stop sign. I think it's a very dangerous road. Every time I try to bear left to go on my street, I have to make sure there's not a car speeding down the hill. So I think having a stop sign will definitely benefit and keep the neighborhood safe from any collisions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Swasso. And thanks for making public testimony tonight. All right, moving on. Hearings, none. Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Stephen Cortez of 200 Leisure Lane, Stoneham, to the position of Director of Assessing for the City of Salem for a one-year term to expire January 31st, 2023.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cortez did an excellent job last year, if we all remember, leading us through the budget process. Had some big shoes to fill, but did a great job. We're happy to have him and appreciate his service to the City of Salem.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnewski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Farrella,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Councilor Marcillo.
Yes. On Councilor Hapworth's motion for confirmation by roll call vote of Stephen Cortez as the Director of Assessing, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Councilor Hapworth, would you like to suspend the rules?
I would like to suspend the rules. I didn't see. Oh, there he is. I see him there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Cortez to speak.
Seeing no objection?
Stephen, if you like to unmute yourself, and you can have the floor.
Hello, councilors. Thank you, Eileen. I just want to briefly say that I'm honored to take over this role as the official city assessor and to continue my work here in the department, advancing the workflow and serving the community with the standards that the City of Salem residents and business owners have come to expect. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of the following with terms to expire. Kate Hudson and Jacob St. Louis to the Cemetery Commission with a term to expire January 13th, 2025, and Joe McAvoy to the Trust Fund Commission with a term to expire March 1st, 2026.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to recognize Jen Ratliff for her service to the City of Salem. She's the departing member of the Cemetery Commission, and asked that the City Clerk send her a city seal. And then I want to just thank Mr. Hanson, Mr. St. Louis, and Mr. McAvoy for their willingness to serve. They've done some impressive things, and we're excited to have them on board.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Hapworth's motion for confirmation by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnewski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Councilor Masello.
Yes. On the motion for the confirmation of the mayor's appointments, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Councilor Hepworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Hanson, Mr. St. Louis, and Ms. Hanson, Mr. St. Louis, and Mr. McAvoy to speak.
Seeing no objection.
Let's see, the first one I come upon is Jacob St. Louis. So Jacob, I'm going to allow you to speak. If you can unmute yourself, please. You should be able to speak.
Hi, thank you very much for the appointment, and I'm really looking forward to working with the rest of the commission.
Thank you.
Sure. Kate, all right, she's the next one I come up. Sorry, I saw you, Kate first, and then I'll go back to Joe. Kate, if you're allowed to speak now, please go ahead.
Hi, I just want to thank you all so much for the appointment. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joining the Cemetery Commission, and I'm just so excited to be doing something in the city that has now been my home for the last 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering.
Last I missed Joe. You should be able to speak now. You'll mute yourself.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the council for the confirmation. As a non-citizen, I'm not able to vote, but I'm able to play a role in serving the city, and that's really important to me. So thanks so much for your faith in me.
Thank you to all three of the new appointments. And Madam City Clerk, can you make sure that Ms. Ratcliffe receives the city seal? Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Catherine Bertrand, 2 Beacon Street, to the Public Art Commission with a term to expire on January 11th, 2024.
Councilor Hepworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I move this be held under the rules.
Councilor Hepworth moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own. The motion carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Brooke Nagel of 25 Washington Square to the Beautification Committee with a term to expire on January 27th, 2025.
Councilor Hepworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Hepworth moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of the following with terms to expire on February 1st, 2025. Richard Jagolta to the Board of Assessors, Donna Clifford to the Council on Aging, and Beth Durant and Patricia Donahue to the Cemetery Commission.
Councilor Hepworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Hepworth moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. No discussion. Just want to thank them for their service to the city of Salem.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen.
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Hepworth.
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor McLean.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski.
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi.
Yes.
Councilor Varela.
Yes.
Councilor Watson Felt.
Yes.
And Councilor Marcello.
Yes. On Councilor Hepworth's motion for the confirmation of the 4 appointees to the various boards, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $80,098.28 be approved within the retirement stabilization account to be expended for the fiscal year 22 contractual buybacks for 3 public school department employees.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor McCarthy moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I further move for confirmation. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Briefly, Madam President, I want to first of all thank these three Salem school public employees for their service to the school system. And with their retirement, these are contractual amounts, and that they've all gone through the proper boards, and we're just here to approve the amount so they can receive their compensation upon their retirement. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnowski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Phelps,
Yes.
and Councilor Masillo.
Yes. On the adoption of the approval of money for 3 retiring Salem school employees, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative, the matter carries. And best wishes to Mr. Adams, Ms. Hamlin, and Ms. Shore. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $6,834.28 is hereby appropriated in the Retirement Stabilization Fund to be expended for the retroactive wage adjustments for sick leave, buyback holidays, and SMV stipend to retired officer provision pursuant to the July 1st, 2020 collective bargaining agreement with the Salem Police Patrolmen's Association.
Does Councilor Presnowski need to recuse himself for this? Yes. Let the record show that Councilor Presnowski has recused himself. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor McCarthy moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I further move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Briefly, Madam President, the Salem Police Patrolmen's Association came to an agreement with regards to their contract, and these are the funds needed to offset some of those costs, and it's all contractual, so we're just here to approve the money so that this can take place.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Phelps,
Yes.
and Councilor Masillo.
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for the appropriation of $6,834.28, we have 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, which allows for municipality to pay for prior fiscal year invoices using current fiscal year appropriations by a 2/3 vote of the council. We request a sum of $590 of outstanding fiscal year 21 invoices for building to be paid from the fiscal year 2022 electrical department budget for a vendor.
Let the record show that Councilor Presnowski has joined us again. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor McCarthy moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I further move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. This is something we don't, as a city, we don't like doing, but sometimes these things occur. When we close up the budget at the end of the year before we implement the new one, we try to make sure that all the bills are paid. And unfortunately, sometimes there's occasionally a bill that didn't get paid. The building department ordered this board up, and this money was somehow missed, or the invoice got sent in late. And so, typically the last budget's closed out, so we need to pay for this amount during this budget. And also, it's not anything we'd like to do, but we owe the vendor the money. It also requires a 2/3 vote. So that's how seriously we consider these things, and when we talk with our departments to make sure that they get all their bills in an orderly and timely manner. But this bill was put out there, the work was performed, so we need to pay this bill, and this is the avenue we have to do it.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, could you please call a roll?
Councilor Cohen?
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt? And Councilor Marcello?
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for the appropriation of $590 of outstanding fiscal year 2021 invoices, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept the donation of a gift card from Home Depot in the amount of $1,000 for community engagement activities. These funds and the resulting expenditures to be accounted for in the police donation account.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, let me thank Home Depot for their generous donation to the police department and their community engagement division. Any donation to the city that's over $1,000 or more has to come in front of the city in order for us to accept it. So that's why it's here in front of us. But I want to thank Home Depot, and I know that the Community Impact Unit will be able to use these funds to do a lot of great work. So I want to once again thank Home Depot for their generous donation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Prosnewski.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, Madam Chair, I believe that I'm allowed to sit in on this vote because it's a donation. It's not an expenditure, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Cohen?
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Marcello?
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption of accepting the donation from Home Depot, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have the following an ordinance submitted by the mayor amending Chapter 50, Wetlands Protection and Conservation.
And the action is on page 20. Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
I skipped over the waiving of reading of this. Oh. Should we officially do that?
I'm reading it right now.
I move that we waive the reading.
Thank you, Councilor Cohen. Councilor Riccardi moves that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. I think a lot of us are excited to see the fruits of the labor that have gone into the hard work on this one over the past year. I believe it was around this time last year that the Wetlands Protection Group was formed. And throughout the 12 months, a lot of work and effort has been put into creating this ordinance to really strengthen our protections. I'd like to definitely thank the working group that was a part of creating this amendment and their time that they spent into this. And I am looking forward to discussing this in the OLA committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to show my agreement with Councilor Riccardi. Specifically, the first forum that the working group had, I learned that there are so many different kinds of wetlands and floodplains, and their diligence, the composition of that working group is really terrific. I also want to thank Madam President, you for your leadership in this whole journey, and also look forward to us passing a really good ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Riccardi's motion to refer this to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor, including my own. The motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have the following ordinance submitted by the mayor to amend section 1-10, subsection C, non-criminal violations for wetlands.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I move to waive the reading of this one as well. And I move that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Riccardi moves that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. This goes hand in hand with the new Wetlands Protection Ordinance, so I figure both items should be in committee at the same time and can be discussed together.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Riccardi's motion to refer this to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor, including my own. The motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have the following ordinance submitted by the mayor relative to amending mooring fees.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be, I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Would you like to read it or waive the reading?
I can read it. I don't mind.
Yeah.
City of Salem, January 27, 2022. In the year 2022, an ordinance to amend mooring permit fees, Section 1, Section 10-24D, mooring permit of Chapter 10, Boats and Waterways, is hereby amended by deleting paragraphs 1 through 4 in their entirety and replacing them with the following. 1, fee for mooring, $7 per foot of vessel per year. 2, fee for slip, $7 per foot of vessel per year. 3, fee for commercial transient mooring, $100 per year. 4, fee for guest mooring, city-owned, $40 per day. 5, fee for private float, $100 per year. 6, fee for waitlist for mooring, $10 per year. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter.
Councilor Riccardi moves it for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is, as we saw in the backup documentation, a request from the harbor master to up the mooring fees, as just noted, from $6 per linear foot per year to $7 per linear foot per year. You can see in the backup documentation the research and the additional revenue that this will generate, which was approximately, I believe, $38,000. Yeah, $38,000 a year in additional revenue. Based off the assumptions for the increase of fees. The last time these fees were increased were in 2016. It's now 8 years later, and it seems like a reasonable fee to me. I did reach out to the captain to see what the other local municipalities were charging to make sure that this wasn't or that this was in line as noted in the letter. And it was interesting to learn that Marblehead charges $8 in their main and $7 for mooring in their permits along their west shore, which is Salem Harbor. So I think the increase to $7 to match makes complete sense. And he provided the other cities as well if anyone's interested. There's also additional information in the backup documentation about where those fees must be used for or must be utilized for. So basically the service that we are providing, the fees go directly towards paying that service. If there are any questions, I guess, and they haven't been answered yet, this does require 2 passages, and the second passage will be at next week's meeting if this is approved tonight.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I will say for the record that in the attendees, I think Bill McHugh's in under his wife's email address, Amy. So I think the Harbor Master is in attendance. If there are any questions, I did have a conversation with the Harbor Master. This came up when I was calling him about something else, and I agree with everything that the Councilor Cardi just said. And that was the same conversation I had with the Harbor Master. The fees, obviously, our Harbor Master and his department does a ton of work, and we're the only Harbor Master that is open past 11 o'clock at night. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and that comes with a cost, and obviously the additional costs. For all the work they have to do to monitor all these boats is just brings us in line, and it is substantiated in his backup documentation. So I don't think that this is an out of the realm request. We did talk about the need for $10 a year for just being on the wait list. It says people were just putting their names on the wait list and jumping around trying to wait to see if they could get a mooring. If they didn't get the one they wanted, they just kept putting the name back on the wait list. And it was just a way of there's a lot of work that has to be done to fabricate the waiting list and also maintain it and understand what needs to be done with it. So that's just to try to keep people engaged is rather than just having the name on the list and keep adding it to the list every year. So that was the reason for that, just minor fee at the bottom. So, but I'm in agreement with this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilor Cohen?
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Marcillo?
Yes. On Councilor Riccardi's motion for adoption for first passage by roll call vote, the new mooring permit fees, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 27, 2022, ordered that the rules and orders of the City Council shall be amended as followed. Section 26, appointment of chairperson when in subcommittee of the whole, and Section 27, rules when in committee of the whole, be deleted in its entirety, and Section 30, committees, generally be amended by adding the following. Number 6, committee of the whole. The committee of the whole shall consist of all members of the council and be chaired by the president or their designee, and shall meet separately when required to address matters before it. And I move that this be held to the next meeting under the rules.
Councilor Riccardi moves that this be held to the next meeting under the rules. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm excited to see this one move forward. As you can see, we're essentially removing from the rules the current committee of the whole language and adding a 6th committee of the whole. So after our A&F and OLA and PHSC committee, we're now adding a line for a new committee of the whole to make sure that it's properly aligned and designated within the list of committees. I'm excited for this opportunity for us to get together in a committee environment and not, have that just responsibility lie solely on the chairs of the current committees, and to have a little bit more flexibility there.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. it's being held under the rules of the next meeting, but I want to say the committee of the whole is a valuable tool. It isn't something that we need to be using all the time, but for those issues that come up that need everyone's input, it's nice to have a meeting that's co-posted, but the committee who's the lead of the committee, those 5 members are the ones that get to make the motions and to make the adopted changes and whatnot to something where it's in the committee whole, that each one of us is able to do that and then move a matter forward. So it's I think it's not something that we everything will go to, but when you see some of the bigger items that would have a lot of questions on all sides, I think this is a good tool that we can put back in. It came out a few years ago, and I think to amend the rules to allow this happen is a good idea.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to echo what Councilor Riccardi and Councilor McCarthy said. I think this will be a useful tool and helpful to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Riccardi's motion that this be held to the next meeting under the rules, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Councilor McCarthy, could you take the next 2 items, please? For me, can you step in for me so I can?
Sure, I can do that. Thank you. Chair, I recognize Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the year 2022, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 75, Parking Prohibitions, Towing Zone, Resident Sticker, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 75, Parking Prohibitions, Tow Zone, Resident Sticker of Article V-A, I don't know if that's a 5 or a V, be amended by adding the following. Cleveland Street, Zone D, color yellow, north side only, beginning 40 feet from the intersection with Jefferson Avenue, proceeding in a westerly direction for a distance of 30 feet. No visitor passes shall be issued for qualifying addresses on this street. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Masillo moves for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion, Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is being done because this is the street that's on the far side of St. Anne's Church, and they have lost their parking lot for their parishioners due to some development that's going on back there. And so the 2 streets, Story and Cleveland, have really felt a pinch from parishioners who are parking on the street. And there is one resident on Cleveland who does not have a driveway of any kind and relies on street parking. And usually on Sundays and during masses, it's fine, but this church also does have events. And so this was a compromise that we came up with between the neighbor and the church, that we would provide, I think it's 2 parking spots on Cleveland that are resident only. The rest will remain open. And hopefully this will be enough for this resident who's really had a hard time finding parking lately. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk.
Councilor Cohen.
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor McLean.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Kwasniewski.
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi.
Yes.
Councilor Varela.
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
And Councilor Masillo.
Yes.
On the matter of amending a traffic ordinance, we have 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the year 2022, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited on certain streets, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 51 of Article 5 shall be amended by adding the following. Jefferson Avenue, parking prohibited on certain streets, westerly side beginning approximately 165 feet south of the intersection with Jackson Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 80 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Masilla moves for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion, Councilor Masilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was a request from a business owner right at that corner. They were having trouble getting out of their driveway because people were parking too close and they couldn't see around. So this is a good solution for them, and I think that it's working out well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Council Cohen,
Yay.
Council Dominguez,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Council McLean,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Prosnewski, Council Riccardi,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Council Masillo.
Yes.
On the matter of an amendment of a traffic ordinance, we have 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam President. In the year 2022, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited on certain streets, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 51 of Article 5 shall be amended by adding the following. Levitt Street, parking prohibited on certain streets, southerly side beginning at the intersection with Prince Street in a westerly direction for a distance of 105 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by the city charter, and I move that this is adopted first passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Cohen moves for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I want to thank Councilor Prosnewski, Dave Kucharski, Lieutenant Tucker, and especially the residents on that section of Levitt Street. This has been a problematic area for a while, people parking on the sidewalk and blocking people's driveways. It's been very difficult to navigate that stretch of Levitt Street, and this is basically going to create some really excellent signage and eliminate parking on one side of the street. And I will say that the residents are particularly pleased with this if it goes forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yes.
Council Dominguez,
Yes.
Council Hapworth,
Yes.
Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Council McLean,
Yes.
Council Merkel,
Yes.
Council Prosnewski,
Yes.
Council Riccardi,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Council Masillo.
Yes. On Councilor Cohen's motion for adoption by first passage of a traffic ordinance, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Marcello. In the year 2022, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 49, obedience to isolated stop signs, be it ordained by the City Council and the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 49, obedience to isolated stop signs shall be amended by adding the following. Cedar Crest Road, stop sign, southeast bound traffic on Cedar Crest Road and Cedar Crest Avenue. Section 2, the ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. and I move for adoption of first passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to thank the residents who spoke up today on public testimony. I really believe this is long overdue for Cedar Crest Ave and Cedar Crest Road. Over the last about, I'd say, 8 years, there's been an increase in traffic coming up Cedar Crest Road, which I believe is the right of way. We have 2 exempt use adult daycare centers on Cedar Crest Avenue. And with that, we do have a lot of increased traffic with the residents and patients of those parcels. Daily, we have a lot more traffic than we did years ago. So within, the purview of safety of these streets, there is a extreme blind spot. And I'm surprised that there hasn't been a very serious accident in that intersection. So I appreciate everything, and I hope this goes through, and I think it's long overdue for the neighbors. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnowski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Pelt,
Yes.
and Councilor Musillo.
Yes. On Councilor Varela's motion for adoption for first passage, a change to an ordinance relative to traffic, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. In the year 2022, an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, be ordained the City of Salem, City Council, City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time should be amended by adding the following: Numcake Street, 1 handicap parking space to be added in front of number 36, Numcake Street for a distance of 20 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter, and I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption for first passage by roll call vote. Under discussion, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank Lieutenant Tucker for doing all the legwork behind this and going out and make sure that it ends up in the proper space. And he's going to make sure that the signs go out. It was a request by a resident for a sign. And I just for clarity, I mean, we put a lot of handicap parking signs around the town. But just for clarity, the handicap spot doesn't mean it's dedicated specifically to that resident and or the resident of that address. So once a handicap spot is instituted, it's a handicap spot. Anybody with a handicap placard can park in a handicap spot. I mean, ultimately, this spot was designated because of the need at the person of that address. But just for clarity, I can't tell you how many times I got the phone call after we do one of these and it says, well, somebody else parked in my spot, and it's a handicap spot. So just for clarity, so people understand that. But I move for adoption for first passage by roll call vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnowski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Pelt,
Yes.
and Councilor Musillo.
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for an ordinance change relative to a handicap zone, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Committee reports. Councilor McCarthy. Oh, wait, before we do that, is there anything else? Does anyone have anything else? No. Okay. Committee reports, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 27, 2022. The Committee on Administration and Finance, to whom was referred the matter of an appropriation in the amount of $7,400,000 $400,048.25 from free cash to the Special Revenue Funds Stabilization Capital Improvements Plan, OPED, has considered said matter and would recommend for adoption as amended.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I see 11 hands in favor, including my own. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee met earlier with the Finance Director. We talked at length about this appropriation and about free cash and how we get free cash and why we do, a special revenue funds for stabilization, capital improvement, and OPED with this cash. Firstly, the amount needs to be, we amended the amount to, the amount should be $7,400,048.85. We amended that in committee. Thank you to the city clerk for catching that typo that was in there. And the committee met, and these are the practices that the city has adopted with regards to where we allocate free cash. And the committee voted unanimously to recommend that this matter be adopted.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
A roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
I noticed that the card came up from the city clerk's hand. Remind me.
Thank you. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption by roll call vote, the amount of $7,400,048.85. Did I get that right? 85 cents.
Correct.
Okay. From free cash to the special reserve funds. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yay.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor McLean,
Yes.
Councilor Merkel,
Yes.
Councilor Presnowski,
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi,
Yes.
Councilor Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Councilor Marcillo.
Yes. On adoption of the amended order, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further committee reports, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem City Council, January 27th, 2022. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posed with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an appropriation in the amount of $11,600 from assessing department full-time salary account to assessors contracted services account, has considered said matter and recommend approval.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Once again, thank you to the committee for meeting on this. We put this one in there so some of the new councils would understand that once money is appropriated in the budget, if a department wants to move money from one bucket, in this case, Department of Full-Time Salaries accounts, and moving it into contract services, which is the expense account, you need to come back to us for approval in order to do that. As we just we confirmed the new assessing department, so we confirmed the new assessor earlier this evening. He had been working on a temporary basis, and while doing that, to fill the slot of the assessors, his slot hasn't been filled. It will be filled. They'll go out probably for advertising that now that he's been promoted to the full-time position. But there is money in the salary account, which would allow them to move money from that account to hire part-time people through contracted services in order to fill some of the work that needs to be done in the department. So the recommendation would be to approve.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On Councilor McCarthy's recommendation for approval by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen,
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
Yes.
Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Council McLean,
Yes.
Council Markle,
Yes.
Council Prosnewski,
Yes.
Council Riccardi,
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Councilor Watson Belt,
Yes.
and Council Marcillo.
Yes. On Council McCarthy's motion for adoption of the appropriation of $11,600, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 27, 2022, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom the matter was referred of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and would recommend that the following licenses be granted. Secondhand Clothing, Refine LLC, 72 Washington Street. Secondhand Valuables, Toby's Jewelry, 140 Washington Street. Old Non-Keg Antiques, 1 Hawthorne Boulevard. And Record Exchange LLC, 256 Washington Street, all in Salem.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor and none opposed. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee moves to approve all of these license requests, or the licenses be granted, and we wish them all well and continued selling.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Councilor McCarthy, did you vote? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 27, 2022. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom the matter was referred, the matter of an ordinance amending an ordinance relative to municipal buildings and operations, green building, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter stay in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands plus my own in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. We met on this last week. So we had a great OLA meeting, the first OLA meeting of the year. And I want to start off by saying thank you for a full attendance. So we had the full committee attend, and we also, I believe, had every member of the council attend as well. Jenna Ide was also in attendance, as well as the city solicitor, Beth Renard. Jenna provided an excellent overview and background for the green building initiatives that we have coming up. There are a few different ones in flight, which I think might be a little confusing because this is being submitted in pieces. But this is the first one that we discussed more in depth, which is specifically to municipal buildings, as well as municipal operations, and then our purchasing process as well. So this is referred to a few times as a green building ordinance, but it's really green building and operations and sustainable purchasing practices. So it's a little bit of a longer title. We got into some really great conversations about how the rating systems were chosen, about what net energy means. It means the amount of energy used in a building versus the amount of energy that a building expends. So it was a really great learning experience for, I think, many on the committee. And I think it's also a great, solid groundwork for
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. How much of that did you miss?
Just a little bit, just at the end.
A little bit. Okay. I'd like to start from the beginning. I'm sorry. So there are a few takeaways from that Jenna and the city solicitor are working. We requested a few amendments that needed to kind of be crafted and drafted. We weren't able to do it in the meeting, so we will be following up, and the matter has remained in committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Councilor Watson Belt.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Madam President, I wanted to just throw some additional words on top of Councilor Riccardi's sentiments that I thought that the meeting was robust. In fact, all of the meetings this week with department head attendance has been extremely helpful and incredibly informative, and I've really enjoyed the process so far. So I just wanted to echo that and to extend our thanks again to the city employees who have been attending and providing their expertise to the conversation. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Riccardi's recommendation for that the matter remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, in City Council, January 27, 2022. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom the matter was referred, an ordinance amending a zoning ordinance relative to the Waterfront Industry Overlay District, has considered said matter and would recommend the matter stay in committee.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I thought this was going to go to the joint public hearing.
The waterfront, we're on the Waterfront Industrial Overlay District item. That was stayed in committee.
The next one's going.
The next one's
going. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. I apologize. Okay. On acceptance of the report. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. This was sent to committee to have an open conversation with the new council around this item that began in May 2021 and was submitted by Councilor Turriel, and who joined in on the committee meeting, which was great to have him there again, and along with all 11 councilors. So again, thank you for everyone joining the committee meeting this week. The city solicitor and the director of planning also joined in. And we also heard public comment, and we heard from Attorney Bill Quinn, who represented the former owners of Shetland Park as well as the current property owners. There was really good discussion, essentially, of what does this mean? What were we trying to do with the amendment of this ordinance? And what does enacting this amendment restrict beyond housing, beyond this particular property? What level of risk does this put the city in for possible legal action? There were just many conversations. We kept going around and back to certain ones. You know, what are we really trying to fix? What tools do we already have in place? And what will help us achieve this? And what does the current process look like? There was obviously, I think, some fear on the committee and on the full council that by not enacting this amendment, we're providing carte blanche to the property owners to build 1,400 residential units. And I think we just kept going back to that in our conversation, that there are additional tools and resources to use. And I don't think anyone felt 100% comfortable that this was the correct tool right now at this very moment to use. And we ended up over a really robust conversation. I think it was a solid 2.5 hours that was dedicated to this. That the hard and fast hammer that this amendment would do would not necessarily enact a good working relationship with the property owner, but we need to be methodical around how we use the tools that we do use, and we need to have backup to our amendments and our changes that we put in process. I know I, for one, am hopeful that this will set a precedence that we do have a really good, robust public process and conversation with the community and with the owners around this specific property. And as Councilor Dominguez alluded to in the meeting, this is directly next to our most vulnerable neighborhood, and we need to be careful and collaborative during these conversations and during the plans for the future. All that said, the matter has remained in committee, so there's still room for additional conversations and additional discussion. And the thought that there might be new amendments coming forward or new changes, that's all possible. So for those listening along at home, I guess I think the committee felt that this might be the most flexible route for us to go down. And we can still move forward on some sort of change, but this exact one did not necessarily feel correct at the moment. And since the planning board did have a negative recommendation for this amendment, there was a risk for eliminating this option entirely for the next 2 years. So more to come on that, and that's my summation of a 2.5-hour meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I think that, at least from my short experience on the City Council the last 2 years, that was one of the most productive meetings I think that we've had. And I don't think we had a lot of disagreement, but I think there was a lot of trust in the group, and I think we came to a pretty good solution. So I just really appreciate that. I think that was I hope we see more of that going forward, because that's exactly what those committee meetings should be for. I want to commend Councilor Riccardi for the job she did chairing that. And also just to reiterate, you know, this is our last opportunity to put our stamp on what we want this to look like, or what we feel like this should look like, and what's best for that neighborhood, and for the city of Salem, and to also just reiterate from last night that this may not be the last time that this property sells in our lifetime. We don't know what the future holds for this place. We want to make sure that we define, as the elected body, we define what this should look like moving forward, and that we trust our boards afterwards to make the right decisions. But again, great job last night. Really appreciate everyone's input. And I think we're in a good place, and hopefully we can continue this over and get this over the finish line.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Varela? No. Anyone else? Okay. On Councilor Riccardi's motion that the item remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. The City of Salem and City Council, January 27, 2022. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom the matter was referred, the matter of an ordinance amending a zoning ordinance regarding buffer zones relative to marijuana establishments is considered said matter, and would recommend that the matter be referred to the full council with the recommendation for a joint public hearing.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. So this second matter was brought to OLA essentially to provide time for members of the council to ask questions regarding the zoning ordinance amendment relative to buffer zones related to the marijuana establishments. Members of the council were able to speak with the city solicitor, and the matter did have a timeline and needed to be sent back to the council to request the joint public hearing by this date. If there are any other changes or amendments needed, that process can happen during the joint public hearing. I believe that there was a question on, so this amendment will be removing the requirement for schools and others. I think there was something else, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. And we just wanted to clarify that there was not other amendments required related to the same thing of the school notices within 500 feet, but those are notices, not the buffer zones for no availability.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to clarify, we're referring this for a joint public hearing with the planning board, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Riccardi's recommendation that the matter be referred to the planning board for a joint public hearing, do we need a roll call vote? No.
You don't, but you could certainly take one if you like.
Let's do one. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen. Councilor Cohen.
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor McLean.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Prosnowski.
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi.
Yes.
Council Varela,
Yes.
Council Watson Felt,
Yes.
and Council Marcelo.
Yes. On Councilor Riccardi's recommendation that the motion to refer the matter to the planning board for a joint public hearing, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative, the matter carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 27th, 2022, the Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of a meeting with the city engineer to discuss water main breaks, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter be discharged from committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I think we had a long overdue conversation with Dave Knowlton, and I want to thank Dave Knowlton for the facts and figures that he brought to us, and sort of the rational tone that he brought to the conversation. This has been a topic of conversation in Salem for a very, very long time. I think this is something that people have a right to be concerned about, and we're certainly all concerned about it. Some of the facts that Dave shared was that historically, breaks have actually come down throughout the city of Salem. This can vary from year to year, but the trend line points down pretty sharply. Our notification system has improved significantly, not just because of social media, but social media is a big factor. 30 years ago, you didn't hear about a water main break across town, but you hear about it today. There is less water being used, and that is one of the main factors today than there was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And that's mostly because, the power plant is no longer online. So that's not using the enormous amount of water that it was using previously. But also Salem has less industrial, less commercial, and industrial and commercial uses about twice as much water as residential does. He brought up the figure that, industrial uses about 6 million gallons that we use about 6 million gallons per day in the 60s and 70s, and we're around about 4 million or so today. He also mentioned that there are no more, despite the rumor that we hear constantly, there are no more wooden pipes that are in use in Salem. There are wooden pipes that we do still find sometimes when we dig up the streets, but as far as we know, there are no more inactive use, and that we're not using cast iron any longer. We use something called a ductile iron pipe, which is apparently superior. But a lot of great information was shared. I think that if you are interested, it sounds like Council Marcelo is trying to get this uploaded to YouTube or to someplace that this can be viewed. If you want to view the notes, my wife Micah took incredible committee notes the other night. So if you want to take a look at them there, they are there. But again, great discussion, and appreciate everyone's conversation.
Thank you. Sounds like we all need a Micah in our lives. And I am trying to get this recording and other recordings from committee meetings up on either the city's YouTube page or the SATV page. So more to come on that. Any further discussion? Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say I really did appreciate the meeting as well. It was really informative. And as Councilor Watson Felt said, the committee meetings have been really terrific. And I appreciate all the effort, city officials and everyone that has contributed to the discussions and the information. They're definitely been really, really terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it is good to let members of the public know who may be watching that one of the major points of discussion during that meeting was the impact of development on the use of water in our city. I know this is one of the major questions that I received from my constituents. What is the impact of new or upgraded building on water use, water pressure, concerns around effectiveness of hydrants? And Mr. Knowlton did clarify that in all incoming developments, the builders are required to conduct hydrant flow tests to ensure that there's going to be safe operation of those items, and that they are required to make assessments relative to the pressure capabilities of the water for neighborhoods, and that if it's going to have a negative impact that falls below standard, they're responsible for fixing it. And so we really did get some clarity that potential negative impacts are considered and solved before developments are completed.
Thank you. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Madam President. I also wanted to, since the general public is here, also emphasize I appreciate David Knowlton's time with this issue. And one thing that should be an emphasis, and I know he's brought this up as well, is making sure our treatment plant continues to become more efficient, mainly because our water, is high in calcium, magnesium, and that's just natural with being in New England here. But that is a major contender in continuing oxidation of our pipes and the breakage. So again, I think it's important that, we, moving forward, really put emphasis on our treatment facility to put less of a burden on our infrastructure with our pipes. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councillor Hapworth's recommendation that the matter be discharged from committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Councillor Prosnowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. City of Salem and City Council, January 27th, 2022. The Committee on Public Health, Safety and Environment co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of repairs and maintenance to the offices at 93 Washington Street, has considered the matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee and that the building inspector's office, the finance director, and the mayor's office work together to submit estimates on cost of repairs to the council for the FY 2023 budget.
Thank you. On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. On adoption of the recommendation, Councillor Prosnowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The City Hall is a building that's about approximately 150 years old, and it has gone through some exterior upgrades, including the windows, which were a substantial cost. And it's time now that the interior be looked at. A lot of the conditions inside are a lot of the offices are in difficult condition, and there's two paths. So one of them is taking a look at how much it would cost to reconstruct the interior of the City Hall as a whole, which would be an enormous amount. But what we're looking for in this particular case is looking at the conditions that are there right now that the city employees have to work under. The ceilings and walls, they're flaking and falling. The public can come in and take a look, and they don't look so bad when you enter the offices. But I know that I've gotten a tour behind the scenes, as has in some other of the councilors on the council, and they're very difficult. There are health and safety issues. The conditions are just rapidly deteriorating year by year inside. More paint is falling, more plaster is falling, and something has to be done right now, immediately, in order to improve the conditions, the working conditions for our employees over there. So that's why we are asking that the building inspector's office, in particular, Mike Lutrakowski, and along with the finance director, Jenna Hyde, and capital improvements, Jenna Hyde and Anna Friedman from finance. They had great input. It looks like a great team to put something together that'll be presented to us as a cost of how much it will cost to at least make the conditions livable until City Hall is completely repaired the proper way, which I think this may be stepping forward now in that direction, getting that spark lit to do that. So again, the recommendation is to work together for a short-term cost to be presented for the next budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to concur with Councillor Prosnowski. I did a tour, and I can't think of anything more important than considering the safety and comfort of our city staff and that will make them more productive. So I do hope that some of the over $7 million in free cash floats into this in a quick manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Prosnowski's recommendation that the matter remain in committee and that the building inspector's office, the finance director, and the mayor's office work together to submit estimates on the cost of repairs to this council for the FY 2023 budget. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Communications from city officials.
We have documentation from Jane Guy, Assistant Community Development Director, relative to a preservation restriction for the Brookhouse home, which is being granted as a condition of CPA funding.
Councilor McCarthy?
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank Jane Guy for all the work she does with regards to all the CPA funding, and it's just a mind-boggling amount of work to first bring all the funding requests in and work through the CPA committee to bring them in front of us. This appropriation, the documentation from Jane Guy this is the final step. It's gone through everything it needs to go through for the preservation restriction, and it cleared the hurdle of Historic Commission. And it was signed by the Brookhouse office. The last thing is we need to do is accept it as a city council as part of the restriction, so they can move forward with the work. So I would move for adoption by roll call vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnowski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Pelt?
Yes.
And Councilor Musillo.
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion on the acceptance of the documentation, we had 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further communications from city officials.
We have a communication order from city solicitor to surplus and convey to the Salem Housing Authority a 10,217 square foot city-owned parcel known as Parcel A, consisting of a narrow strip of land between Pioneer Terrace and the seawall along Palmer's Cove.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam President. The Salem Housing Authority was under.
Give a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Move adoption by roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Councilor Cohen moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion, Councilor Cohen.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam President. So the Salem Housing Authority was under the misconception for several years that this was part of their property, and they were able to secure a state grant for $500,000 to do some significant renovations. And the only way that the grant will be able to be used is for us to convey the property. If you look at the backup documents, it's basically kind of a driveway and a little bit of land that will enable them to do some things to connect to the Palmer Cove Park. And obviously they've taken ownership of this, and this is a pretty good expenditure. So I recommend we support it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I thank you. I thank the good Councilor Cohen for bringing this over, but I'd rather see this in committee instead of voting for this tonight, so we can have more info and we can be more in tune with what we're deciding to do forward. I know that the intention right here is good. But I wanted to hear more. I wanted to have some debate and do some research and make sure that when I vote with some conscience completely. So if you don't mind to bring this to committee, to all us, so we can discuss it. That's my recommendation. If we do Councilor Ward 5 can accept that amendment. Thank you.
Councilor Khan?
Yeah, the Salem Housing Authority has acted as if it's their property. They've maintained it. The city has not done any work on this property, and there's $500,000 waiting for them to spend. And if you spend time down at Pioneer Terrace or go down to the water at any time, I think most people would have the same perception that the Housing Authority did. I feel like this is simple enough for us to vote on tonight. And so I am recommended that we take a vote tonight and not refer it to the committee.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I also just wanted to point out, this is, I researched this a little bit more, and I believe the city solicitor was also contacted because purchases of property, I believe it is best practices to go to committee for purchases of property, but since this is a transfer, this is not a purchase of real property. It's an intergovernmental transfer, so there's no purchase of land here. It's essentially going from one public entity to another. But per council rules, purchases do go to committee, and they go to the community, the Committee on Community Development, I believe. But this, again, since this is not a purchase, I would feel comfortable voting on this evening as well.
Thank you. Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question would actually be to the city solicitor, because I believe that there's a very strong possibility that that property is actually parkland. And the transference of parkland to another entity requires a lot more than just the city council conveying it over to one to another entity. I think there's some other checks and balances in place that once a piece of public park is sold off, it has more to do with other entities than besides the city council. I would just like to hear from our city solicitor's office that we can do that this is not park property. It's actually belongs to the city of Salem and some other kind of property, because I know years ago that whole Pioneer Terrace was built on park property, and somehow it was conveyed to the city to be able to build those buildings. That was all one big giant Palmer's Cove Park with 2 ball fields. But that parcel that is now city property, I'm just not sure whether it's park property and we can legally do what we're being asked to do tonight. I think that a quick declaration by the solicitor's office that it's okay to do so would be fine, but I'm just not sure we're in the position to legally do that tonight. So I would also like to see this go in committee just to have that checked off.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't even want to go through what the process would be to think that Councilor Prosnewski just described. I could tell you, but it's a long process. But I will also say that I looked at the attendees, and I see that Kathy Hogue from the Housing Authorities in attendance, and she may be able to answer that question. I'm not really sure if she can, or she maybe address some of the questions that with regards to this conveyance. So if there's no objection, I would move that we allow Ms. Hogue to address the council, and maybe if not, then I would agree that I understand the need to move this forward and for the expenditure that they're looking, but at the same time, if we can't get our questions answered tonight, then we probably should refer it back. But with Ms. Hogue available, I think we should suspend the rules to allow her to address the council. Maybe she can answer some of these questions.
Councilor McCarthy moves for suspension of the rules to allow Ms. Hogue to speak to us. Seeing no objection. Madam City Clerk, can you make that possible? Ms. Hoag, if you could unmute yourself. There you go.
Good evening, city councilors. Thank you so much. I do want to mention that I'm also joined this evening by Naomi Cottrell, who is the architect working together with us on this project. She could speak more technically probably than I could with regard to the survey that was done for this project. We did have all of the land surveyed, and it was not indicated to us that this is parkland. If you're comfortable allowing Naomi to speak, she could probably speak a little bit more technical on this piece of information than I am.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Ms.
This is
Cottrell.
Thank you. I'm actually pulling up the A&R document that was prepared for the review by the planning board. I agree with Kathy in regards to the fact that the survey did not say that this was parkland. It, in fact, said it was owned by the city of Salem. So I do not believe that it was indicated in any way that it is parkland. I do agree that the previous ownership of the park, as Councilor Prosnewski said, that originally this whole parcel was a much larger park. And when Pioneer Terrace was established, the thing that it was carved out from the park, that's clear in the documentation and the history of the area. Essentially, the area that the parcel A is defined in the A&R plan is a roadway. It's a dead end road that goes in front of units 5 and 6 of Pioneer Terrace, between 5 and 6, which face out into the water. And there is this driveway or a roadway, and that's the area that's looking to be swapped. Again, in the documentation, it does not say parkland. It does say it was owned by the city of Salem, and appears in all documentation that it was roadway.
Thank you. Do any councilors have any questions for Ms. Hoag or Ms. Cottrell? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to voice my support for moving this along tonight. I did read the backup documentation, and then hearing from Ms. Hoag and Ms. Cottrell, and knowing, the large amount of grant funds that can do a lot of good on the property. I'd like to see them get the green light to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Madam President. After hearing the testimony of Ms. Hoag and Ms. Cottrell, I believe it is appropriate to make a motion to adopt this by roll call vote.
Not quite yet. Hold on. I want to make sure that Councilor Prosnewski, how are you feeling?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Ms. Hoag and Ms. Cottrell answered it. I'm satisfied with the fact that if they have the land surveyed and they have permission from the planning department, then it's not parkland. That was my only concern, and I'm satisfied that what they did with their background, and I wish them good speed with the project, and hope it makes that area look better. Can I ask Naomi really quick? I know that the city has been contemplating a waterfront walkway. And I know that some of the construction that was done at Palmer's Cove Park was fixing up that walkway near the seawall. Is your project going to be impacting any of that new walkway area?
Actually, the concept in and around what would be happening between the buildings belonging to Pioneer Terrace and the seawall is actually to extend that exact same pattern of pedestrian zone right along the seawall and connecting it. And so it wouldn't be touching it. In fact, it would just be extended. It would be touching it on the end, but would not be damaging it or changing it. It would be extending it so that that walk along the water goes in front of those buildings and then connects through the park.
Thank you. I'm very satisfied. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dominguez, do you have any questions for Ms. Hoag or Ms. Cottrell?
No, thank you, Madam President. I don't have no further question. I just wanted to concur with the rest of my colleagues on this matter. I think that it's very clear that the city solicitor suggested that we move forward. I think that's the legal aspect of that portion is being taken care. And now hearing the two, Mrs. Hogg and Mrs. Naomi, I think that allow me to be in more peace. And I hope that the general public also who's watching has some good feeling of this. This is a right way to move. So my only concern was little thing like the group councilor Pronoski specifying things like that, that sometimes we are not aware of the details, and sometimes that creates some type of misunderstanding in the general public. So I'm upset. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam President. I do want to stress one more thing that is included in the letter from the city solicitor, and that is this conveyance will include an easement to allow the city to do maintenance to the seawall and have access to it, so that it further protects the city and the environmental impact.
Thank you. Any further comments on this? Seeing none. On Councilor Cohen's motion for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Presnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Marcello?
Yes. On Councilor Cohen's motion on the surplus and conveyance of land to the Housing Authority, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Petitions.
We have a petition from Comcast to install a conduit on Line Street.
Hearing ordered February 10th, 2022.
We have a petition from Comcast to enlarge an existing manhole.
Hearing ordered February 10th, 2022.
We have a petition from National Grid to install conduits on Peabody Street.
Hearing ordered February 10th, 2022.
And we have a petition from National Grid to install conduits on Norman Street.
Hearing ordered February 10th, 2022. Further petitions.
We have a communication from Alphonse Wright, co-chair of Salem Human Rights Coalition, requesting that a council liaison for the newly named Salem Human Rights Coalition, formerly No Place for Hate, be assigned.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I move this be referred to the Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Hapworth moves that this be referred to the Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of public guides and taxi operators.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that these be granted.
Councilor Riccardi moves that these be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion on Councilor Riccardi's motion that the licenses be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Further petitions.
We have a taxi operator license application.
Councilor Riccardi.
Sorry, I move that this be denied.
Councilor Riccardi moves that this be denied. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no other discussion on Councilor Riccardi's motion that this be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. For the petitions.
We have the following license application for a secondhand valuable and for a tag day.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Riccardi moves that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion? No discussion. On all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands, including my own, in favor. The motion carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of contract operated drain layer licenses.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that these be granted.
Councilor Riccardi moves that these be granted. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion on Councilor Riccardi's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. Further petitions.
We have 3 claims.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Riccardi moves that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion. Seeing no discussion on Councilor Riccardi's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. Further petitions.
We have 2 drain layer bonds.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Councilor Riccardi moves that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and returned approved. And under discussion. Being no discussion on the motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record show that I saw 11 hands in favor. The motion carries. Unfinished business.
We have a second passage of a bond order that reprograms the fiscal year 21 CIP loan for Salem Public Schools bathrooms renovations of $200,000.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption of second and final passage.
Councilor McCarthy moves for adoption for second and final passage. Under discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing no further discussion on Councilor McCarthy's motion for adoption for second and final passage, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Marcillo?
Yes. On Councilor McCarthy's motion for the second passage of a bond order for second and final passage, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Further unfinished business.
The second passage of an ordinance amending an ordinance to expand the safety enhancement zone.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get this one right. I actually move for an amendment. I move for this to be amended to read Section 1, Section 111B, definitions of Chapter 1, Section 1-11, Safety Enhancement Zones, Violations and Penalties is hereby amended by deleting paragraph 1 in its entirety and replacing it with the following, and then amending the final sentence to read, "in all areas of the city within 1 mile of the border of the B5 Central Business District."
Councilor Riccardi moves for adoption as amended. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to read that whole sentence again for what the amendment will be. So the first section amended request is to just clarify with extra detail as to what piece we're being amended. So we're not actually changing where the amended is, but we're just adding the additional B definition section. And then the second statement is adding additional, or it's really just rephrasing the language of where the 1 mile or how the 1 mile is classified. So the new language would read, Safety Enhancement Zone is defined as the B5 Central Business District of the City of Salem's zoning ordinance and all areas of the city within 1 mile of the border of the B5 Central Business District. So the city solicitor saw this language after it was submitted for the agenda last week and made this tweak. So we're moving from up to and including 1 mile to within 1 mile of that. I'm not a lawyer. I don't see the difference, but that is what is requested. So I move for that amendment.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Riccardi's motion for adoption for second and final passage as amended to remove up to and including and change it to within 1 mile from the border. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Oh, wait, hold on. Councilor McCarthy.
For clarification, are you adopting the amendment first before we, or is this vote for the amendment, or is this vote for the overall?
Let's make it clear and we'll vote for the amendment first.
Thank you.
Sure. Should that be by roll call vote or a hand vote?
Roll call.
Roll call vote for the amendment. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Masillo?
Yes. On the amendment to the ordinance, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. On the second and final adoption, second and final passage, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And Councilor Masillo?
Yes. On the adoption for second and final passage as amended of the ordinance for the safety enhancement zone, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries. Anything else? I would like to take a moment to congratulate all of you on all the work that you're doing. That was a lot of work for the first 2 weeks in the council. And I've been to most of the meetings and the discussions have been great. And so I'm looking forward to a very productive year. Anyone else? Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Madam President. And I also want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I make this motion, I just want to say it all depends which model you're looking at and how bad we're going to get hit with snow. But it seems like we're going to get some snow. It's a 4-letter word, and I don't like it. But with the fact, just if you look at some of the models, if we get hit the way some of the models say, just remember a couple things. One, if you have a fire hydrant near your house, get some of your neighbors out there to help you. Make sure the fire hydrants are cleared, because the last thing during, God forbid the power goes out and someone tries to light some candles or something, and the fire department needs to show up and they have to spend the time digging on a fire hydrant. You want to make sure that those are cleared for safety issues. And you want to check on your elderly neighbors as well. If you have a neighbor in the neighborhood who, this is a lot of snow, potentially. Hopefully we don't get a lot of snow, but either way, you want to make sure that you reach out to your elderly neighbors and make sure that they're okay, especially during if it turns out to be another, God, I can't believe I'm saying blizzard of 78. But if it turns out to be another blizzard of 78, which I shoveled a lot of snow during that one. Just remember to take it slow. Remember, we're all in this together. Try not to get mad at anybody. Just snow. The city's going to try to do its best. It's going to take a lot of effort to remove a lot of snow, and it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to do our best to do it. And just remember, for everyone out there, just, we didn't ask for this. It's happened. We have to deal with it, and we're going to do our best and try to make sure that while we're doing that, we're respectful of each other and also mindful of the fact that there are people in our immediate areas around our homes that are going to need extra assistance, and just make sure that you look out for them as well, because it has the potential of being bad. Hopefully the modeling changes in the next 24 to 48 hours, but good luck to everybody, and just remember to take it slow. And with all that being said, I move for adjournment.
Councilor McCarthy moves to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Stay safe.